How's it going, everyone? Professor PHuff here. Just a little bit of an intro before we start the video. I was asked to do a guest lecture for a Discord of a learning community, and they wanted me to give some tips and tricks on how to improve and how to climb, especially in lower ELO. And this is what I got for y'all. So we'll just do this. So I'm also sponsored by Mobilytics. They picked me up as a sponsor recently. I'm gonna do my little shameless plug. You can use code ZONE for 10% off. If any of you use Mobilytics, it's pretty good for improving. They show like statistics and stuff. I can throw that up real quick, actually. I personally use it. They do like builds, runes. So if you're not confident in what you're building or your runes, you can kind of throw it up in game. And then they have, this is what I use the most, which is the GPI, and it points out specifically what you can do to improve in recent games. Definitely helpful, definitely something to consider. So like you guys, I don't know the ranks of everyone here, but I too started off as actually bronze 5 back when I started in preseason 2. To get out of bronze 5, I played Nautilus jungle, went on like a 19 win streak, and then promoted out of bronze 5. It took like 19 games to win and go from bronze 5 to bronze 4 because of how MMR used to work back in the day. So I was in the hole, right? After that, I like to play Jax, Camille, Tryndamere, Kale nowadays, and Volibear. Those are kind of the big ones, and I've been doing this for a while. All right, so into what you guys probably care about. We have 5 tips to climb in any ELO, and the main thing is routine. So it doesn't matter what ELO you are, sticking to 3 to 5 games, put out like time. If you really care about ranked, doing 3 to 5 per like block. So like if you play 3 games and you win 3, okay, cool, stop, go do something for 2 hours, like non-league related, like literally get up, touch grass, go eat, go to the gym, whatever. It like helps your mental, helps reset, and then go and play some more. This is if you really care about like climbing and improving is your main thing, but not just like winning every game, right? Because the idea of this is you're in your best head. You put 100% effort into the 3 to 5 games that you're playing per block. Use up all your mental and then go from there. Next thing that matters, and you'll see a lot of improvement, is mute all or mute teammates who are not saying anything helpful, flaming, or ping abuse. Personally, I give 1 shot to people in my games. If they say something like really dumb or really stupid, like right off the bat, I just mute them. If they flame someone else, I just mute them. It just clogs chat, and I only want to see people pinging summoner spells. I don't care about someone flaming my bot lane for not hitting a skill shot. It's like, who cares? And then that goes into the second tip, which is focus on yourself. No matter what ELO you're in, your teammates suck. It doesn't matter. Like in Diamond, they suck. I suck some games. It happens. The only variable in your games that you can actually change is yourself. And the sooner that you focus on yourself and you don't worry about like what your team does, just go in with the mindset that they're all bad and they're not going to hit anything, because 9 times out of 10, that's probably what you're going to get. Don't expect anything. Third tip that I have is limit the champ pool to 2 to 3, and it'll drastically improve your ability to climb. I know it's really hard, like specifically myself, but when I'm going for like a climb to like break a certain division, so like going from plat to diamond back when the season restarted, I decided to stick to Trynd, Camille, and I think Volley and or Jax when the season first started. Chat's saying have 2 roles. Personally, I don't like having 2 roles, but like I have a backup role that I can play. Especially if you play mid though, you need to have a backup role, because you're not going to get mid every game unless you're willing to just dodge the games that you don't get it. And then the other tip that I have for like lower ELO, and I know this is like kind of controversial, but don't be afraid to make mistakes, and that being like taking a tower shot, trying to be more aggressive, ending up dying, going for an all-in because like you misplayed. As long as you recognize what's going wrong when you're doing it and you have a reason for why you're trying to make a play, even if you mess up, eventually you'll learn from your mistakes and be able to like perform. And once you know your limits and what you can do, it helps a lot when climbing. You can definitely cheese people that don't know what they're doing. People are saying EQ for the Trynd main. XD Camille, I guess Volley also does it. They'll just spam EQ. Rise, true, he just got buffed. And the last tip that most people like don't do, even in Diamond, is identify your win con while you're in loading screen and lobby and what the other team has to do to win. The sooner you like can realize what both teams are trying to do, you can opt into shutting down what the other person's win con is or playing around what your team's is. So when you're behind, you play to shut down the other opponent. When you're ahead, you play for your own, if that makes sense. And then the other thing you can do is play for your item spikes and just kind of ignore your teammates when they're like pinging dumb fights over nothing, especially in lower elos, even in Diamond. Like if you don't have your core items and you know how much damage you're gonna do, don't opt into fights that you know you're gonna lose. Just kind of not worth it. Questions? Yeah, you can type questions. I'll answer while I'm doing this. Is that like a convention for winners? Huge for jungle, no win cons. Why do you not follow your own advice? I do follow my own advice. It's hard to do it every game. This is hard. That's why I'm not better. That's why I'm only Diamond. Consistency is key. And then next I have I only lose to silvers, not golds, because they're random. I like to have fun is why. So the next thing that I have is 5 tips. Instant challenger. I think that's how it is for everyone, but it's not that easy. Next thing I have is 5 tips for each individual role. And if people have questions about specific things, like when I go over each role, now's the time to ask. You can interrupt me, and it's like all good. But let me check chat and Discord real quick. And we're also gonna check Twitch. So before I get into top, are there any specific top questions? XD. Okay, if someone has one, feel free to interrupt me. Main things for top lane, especially as you're climbing and if you want to improve, the best thing you can learn is wave management. If you want a link, I have a good Google Doc. It's kind of boring to like learn at first, but if you actually care about climbing and improving, knowing how to wave manage will save your life, and it's really hard. Like I still don't know how to do it perfectly in Diamond. It's hard, but the better you get at it, you can like choose where the wave will be, and it's kind of like playing chess with your opponent, and you can think about 3 steps ahead. And if you're better at wave managing, you can just set up ganks for your jungler over and over and over. What's up? Should I 3 camp to top or bot? When should I invade? Should I always do scuttle? What's up? Should I that's Clash. Then why can't you hit masters? Dude, hitting masters is all consistency. Next thing is know your role. The role of your champion. So if you're playing a split pusher, I put Jax for example. Split pushers are Jax, Fiora. Camille can be a split pusher. She can also team fight. Know what your win con is, right? So this is going back to your win con. For Jax, his is getting ahead of the other laner and then winning through side lane. He does not want to group unless it's important objectives, and even then he prefers just one-on-ones, 1v2s. He doesn't want to do 5v5. Ornn, on the other hand, does want to do 5v5 and does not want to opt into 1v1s. And then Renekton is like kind of a fighter. He can do a little bit of both, but he's going to be more of like an early game champion. Has to get his lead, push the lead. If he doesn't, he falls off. He was kind of my like fighter, bruiser, juggernaut class. They can kind of do a little bit of split, a little bit of team fight. They're more for like skirmishing and 3v3s, 4v4s generally. How do you pick the best role for you? Just trial and error. Just kind of pick something and stick to it is the main thing. So for me, I used to be a support player, then a jungler, then I went to top lane and I haven't left. So I like bounced around a little bit, but eventually you just kind of got to try everything, see what fits for you. For me personally, top lane had the champs that I enjoyed playing, and you can kind of do anything top lane, and it's like a 1v1 like all the time. Mid lane's also 1v1, or more, mid lane's more of 2v2 with jungler. But top lane's more the 1v1. I like the 1v1. It's really punishing, which I like too, because it's easier to catch like your mistakes. Well, I guess I wouldn't say it's easier, but you should hopefully learn from the big mistakes. It's hard. And then My next thing is the 2 and 6 power spike. This applies to every lane, but even more so to top because it's a 1v1. If you get 2 before your opponent also hits 2, you have 2 abilities, they have 1. You can do twice as many things, twice as much damage. Generally. It's not every matchup, but 9 times out of 10. And then the other one is the level 6 power spike. Generally very big. There are certain champs it's not as strong for the 1v1 on. That being Shen, for example. It doesn't give him any combat stats. Whereas Jax's, on the other hand, is insanely huge. It makes every 3 autos do bonus magic damage. He gets armor MR. Do I like playing tanks? So I used to enjoy playing tanks a lot. I still don't mind playing tanks, but I don't like blind picking tanks. I feel like, for me personally, I'm more of an aggressive early game player. I like to play early game, and I also like to split push. And tanks generally don't fall into that. There are a few that do, and I do enjoy playing them. But I do also like playing... I don't mind playing Malphite, like if it's a game for it, but I'm not blind picking Malphite. I'll do it if the team needs it, but I always prefer not to. I like split pushers. I feel like I have more control of my own destiny, whereas tank, you have to rely on your team not making mistakes, whereas split pushers, you just have to rely on making the right play, if that makes sense. How do you capitalize on getting level 2 when they get level 2 right around the same time? Okay, this is where we go into practice tool. Real quick. And I actually can pull it up real quick. So the main thing, I'll go over real quick. This is for top lane, but you can also do it for every other lane. Let's do... Who do we want to do an example? Volibear kind of is weird, because he just auto shoves. Actually, we can do it on Volibear. We can do an example. I'm going to change my runes, though, because I think the grass ones are dog. And if this is like solo queue, we're doing this. So the main thing, how you do it, is there's 2 kind of options that you can do. These are like some level 1 strategies that you can do. You can think of them as like openers and chess. There's a couple options that you have for a top laner. Main one is if you're on blue side, go to this bush. You can go in through here, sitting in this bush early. Another one you can do right here. This is also to watch enemy invades. This is the standard one that I stay in personally. Technically, it's better to stand right here though. That way you can see top and through river. You block the entrance. The other one that you can do, and this is a really good one for red side, is this bush. So this bush is for when you know the enemy junglers and top laner is leashing and is going to be starting at red buff. What you can do is once they leash, drop it, or you can make it so it hits in the bush, hit him with the trade. Generally, they'll either walk back or keep going, and you'll just kind of walk and tether with them. So they'll be like right behind you. Here, I'll get a dummy real quick. Might be a little easier. So they'll be like right here. You're just gonna walk away, or you can zone while the wave comes in. So that way you get EXP while you're in range, and they are. That's one thing you can do. Tethering is kind of the range that they can attack or damage or crowd control. So like, for instance, Darius E like goes out to here. Tethering him is like, I'm staying right outside of his range. So he can't pull me, but like I want him to bait out the E so then I can go in. So like what you'll do is like something like this. They're in the bush. You zone them off. And obviously they'll either run back and forth. They'll pick something, whatever. But the idea is you want to deny them at least 1 minion. If you can get 1 minion denied, one of the melees, you'll hit 2 before them. Because for top lane, it's the first 6 and then the first melee of the next wave. And you hit at level 2. Then it's something like this. Next wave will come in. As Volibear, you generally just sit in the bush and you wait. Just double E the wave. And then la-da-da-da-da, level 2, you drop your E. You'll start hitting minions while you don't get body blocked. And then there's your level 2. And then you trade while... Can't be the caster. No, it cannot. General range for EXP. Easiest way to tell is escape. I think it's interface. interface, scroll all the way down, tick the EXP. I recommend ticking all of them, to be honest, but tick the EXP, and then what you can do on a practice tool. So this is gonna die. You'll see the plus 60. We want to see how far away we can get without missing EXP. So this is too far, so we need to walk up slightly too far still. It should be like right around here. That's gonna die. We should get EXP. Yep, I think I can go this far back. Nope. Oh yeah, we did get EXP. So around here to there. Let me do this. Can I do... here we go. I want to get this real quick. Yeah, it's pretty far. So what you can do for lanes that are pretty, like, where your wave is stuck, you can actually just sit in the bush. Oh, well, there's no more minions. But yeah, you got quite the range to work with. So that's that. If there's any more questions, we can go back into practice tool later. But yeah, you got a pretty decent range to work with. And then, of course, there's, like, techniques like cheater recall that you can do and other things like that, but that's a little bit more advanced. You have to know you have to know 3 different wave management techniques to do it. And then my last tip for top lane is, in doubt, rat it out. So this is my personal opinion and how I view the game. When your team kind of sucks and you know that you're never going to win a team fight 5v5, side lane the entire rest of the game and just try to get objectives opposite of the map. So what that means is, if dragon is spawning, you want to be on the top side of the map, getting like top tower. If baron is spawning, you want to be on the bot side of the map. Isn't this what you do the whole game? XD. Normally. Not true. Not every game. I used to do it every game, but not every game. For mid lane tips here. Isn't that rage splitting? No, it's not rage splitting. Rage splitting is running into the side lane that, like, the objective spawning in, and you have no idea where you're supposed to be. Truth. Weak side carry. Alright. For mid lane, the tips we have. The main one. If you don't know what to do mid lane, you don't know what the other champ does, you don't know the other champ's damage, stack the waves and then go for whatever play you're looking for. What the stack wave means is you only go for the last hit on the minion, and you just let the wave slowly build up more and more, and eventually it'll be like 10 casters crashing into the enemy tower, and then you have what's called as a free play. So how I like to think of it is, like, actions in League have values. So like a +1, like in card games, for example, when you gain an advantage, you get a +1. Crashing a stacked wave is a +2 generally. So what you opt to do, so like a roam is cost 2 resource, if that makes sense. So by stacking the wave, you can then go and roam. You can either reset and heal. You can look for an all-in. You can go and drop wards and get like fruit in the river. You can get, you can go and jungle invade, etc. That's kind of the idea. And number 2 is jungle tracking. A little tip for tracking the enemy jungler is to mirror where your jungler is. If you don't know the clear speeds, I recommend like playing a little bit of jungle and you'll get an idea. But if you don't know where the jungler is, look at your own jungler's pathing, because 9 times out of 10 they're just doing a standard full clear, and both junglers are doing that. It's nothing crazy. Sometimes obviously it's solo queue, people do cheese, they do level 2 gank, etc. But for the most part, full clear is standard in the meta right now. So you can look at your jungler on the map and just follow, and that's roughly where the enemy will be. Third thing is knowing the role of your champion. If it's someone like Aurelion Sol, you want to stack waves, push, and roam. Xerath, you want to kind of look to freeze the wave, poke with your abilities, and just farm early, and then you're an artillery mage far back later. Aurelia, you definitely want to stack wave and then look to fight, trade, and then eventually all in, get an early lead, go for roams, etc. Same thing with top, same as mid. 2 and 6 power spike is definitely big. It's a 1v1 lane. I mean, it applies for every lane, but like specifically the solo lanes, it's very big. In doubt, roam it out. This is, if you're losing lane and you don't know what to do, you can't stay in lane because you just die. Don't just stand there under tower. or even like you're shoved in, the wave's crashing, and you're just looking at the enemy like laner in the face, go roam, go do something. It's better than standing there, or like trading when you know you're not gonna dive or all in. For jungle, this is what I was talking about. Most people just full clear. First tip is to try to adaptive pathing, which is looking around the map, looking at wave states, how the lanes are going. Sometimes lanes don't go how they should. Someone messes up, misplays happen, and the wave's getting like pushed into your teammate, and you can go for a 3 camp into a kill. Do it. Tempo, getting the tempo, getting the golden EXP lead for the laner, and then going back to jungle, even if you do get behind a camp or two, getting the tempo, if you can convert it into pressure on the map, it's worth it. Matchup knowledge, knowing which champs, roughly what their clears are, what their speeds are, and this just comes from playing multiple junglers, playing the game more, and taking notes. Number 3 is champion spikes, knowing champs like Jarvan, Lee Sin, they can and will usually go for level 2 ganks. It's very common, you gotta plan for it. Fiddlesticks is gonna farm till like 6, and Rengar's gonna farm till like 3, 4, 5-ish, and look to skirmish. Just knowing when champion spikes. Number 4 is going for invades when your lanes have priority, or you know where the other jungler is. 9 times out of 10, even in Diamond, people just go into the enemy jungle with no idea where the enemy jungle is, and then their lanes are shoved in, so they're all by themselves, and then the enemy laners can just rotate and kill them, and then they flame, but it's like, what are the laners gonna do without prio? Don't invade, don't be an idiot, look at the map. And then number 5 is objective oriented. If you have a lead, converting your pressure and tempo into wins. Get Rift Herald, get Dragon, stack some dragons, get first tower with your Rift Herald, use the gold to then leverage another dragon, use the gold advantage to win the second Rift Herald fight, get the soul, and then boom, game's usually done at 20 minutes if you do it right. Really all it takes. 9 times out of 10 solo queue games just snowball. It's the quickest way to end. And then last but not least, we have bot lane and support. So I was gonna do a separate slide for support, but the issue is support's kind of in a weird spot, especially for solo queue. It's a lot of roaming, trading, and I'm also not the most knowledgeable on it, so I'm not gonna go like too crazy. There's a lot you can do. There's also core JJ videos out there as well. But for bot lane tips, number 1 thing is mages are sleeper OP. If you're not good at ADC or playing the range, pick Ziggs, pick Xerath, pick what's the other really good one? I've seen Vel'Koz bot, I've seen Seraphine. Like, these mages outrange the AD carries, and they usually can just sit back and farm, these control mages. Sarah's busted right now. Yeah, she is. Victor was. He's not as busted. Cassiopeia was. So was Vlad at one point. But I mean, Swain ADC is still good. He's another mage you can play. If you're not good, play those. Number 2, CS is king. Reminder, 15 CS is equal to a kill. You don't need to kill your laner. You just gotta lap them in CS a couple times. Spend the gold that you've lapped them with, and then you kill them. And then the snowball begins. It's the easiest way to climb. Carry is get the snowball rolling. Number 3 is champion spikes. Know what you want to do with your champ. Ziggs wants to shove, get prio, get plates. Samira is going to look to level 2, level 6 spike with their support and look to snowball off a couple kills. MF's going to team fight, look to play early game, etc. And the next thing is make sure you hard shove and rotate to drag. Don't slow push. Use all of your abilities on the wave. Push it in when your jungler goes to get drag. The plate greed for the gold is not worth it. Just get the drag and then get the plate with the jungler after. And then number 5 is plates are bait. Speaking of plates, if you have to overstay, push another wave for a plate, it's probably not worth it, and you're most likely gonna die. I swear to God, I die getting plates more than anything else. And that's kind of all I had for this little like presentation thing, because I figured people had questions.
Crashing. Hit a wall right now. I need a miracle. Hurry up now. I need a miracle. Stranded, reaching out.